Hey, what's up, everyone? You are listening to my comic book journey podcast. I'm your host, KNDY, and today we shall discuss Fantastic Four, issue number 29 from August 1964. This book was written by Stan Lee, illustrated by Jack Kirby, inker was Chic, and the letterer was by S. Rosen. So, you know, I wrote about how, I wrote my blogs and I talked about my passion for Fantastic Four comic books. It's my favorite comic book to read as a child. I love the intelligence of the characters, the action that went along with the series, and also how everyone was, they were this, rich, wealthy superhero group, but they were never perfect. They always had some issues going on individually, and I think that's what made Fantastic Four so awesome for me. What I told myself when I was younger that one of these days I'm going to try to get every issue of Fantastic Four Volume 1. And for the most part, I almost did. Almost. I still, I wasn't able to get, I think, issues 1 through 28, and I didn't get the first appearance of Silver Surfer or the first appearance of Black Panther, but, or the, I think it was maybe was it the first annual with Dr. Doom or so. But yeah, there's just certain issues that it's not that I couldn't get it. It's just that I always had this budget of how much I would spend, and I wasn't looking for mint issues, as you can see for this issue right here, issue 29. It's not the best condition, but the thing is that I try to find them and try to see if I could get them at a certain price point or under a certain price point, that is. So, for me, I think the Fantastic Four is probably one of the more important collections I have in my comic book, collection. And I think, if anything, I would put them along with my top tier in my collection, next to Spider-Man, Avengers, and Daredevil and so forth, and X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, and the various X-Men. But anyway, this story right here is rather interesting. I'm going to go ahead and put this right here. So with issue 29, the Fantastic Four, they are in Yancey Street, part of New York City's Lower East Side, in the neighborhood of Manhattan. It's a place where street punks live, and they often always constantly pulling jokes and pranks on Thing and also the Fantastic Four, and it tends to aggravate them. Part of that reason is because of Ben and his brother Daniel's past on Yancey Street. But in this issue, things aren't going well as the Fantastic Four are walking through Yancey Street. Gangs are throwing lettuce at them. The Thing steps on a big wad of bubble gum. Someone throws a trash can full of garbage on the Thing. The gang unleashes a large amount of water on the Human Torch. Someone squirts sneezing powder on the Invisible Girl. And needless to say, the Fantastic Four are not having an easy time walking through Yancey Street. But as the Fantastic Four escapes from that neighborhood, there's some red probe that's following them. Meanwhile, Ben is facing issues of not wanting to keep his relationship up with Alicia because he has a hard time dealing with the fact that a beautiful woman who is blind happens to love him. But when she comes by in tears wanting to break up, she wants to break up because she thinks a good man like Ben would never go for her because she's blind. And then he realizes, you know what? Those two really love each other. He confesses his love for her, and vice versa. Meanwhile, as the Fantastic Four checks out their fan mail, the Thing opens a box and turns out to be a shootout. Turns out to shoot out a thick white vapor, and inside was a message from the Yancey Street gang for the Fantastic Four to show up at their street at the stroke of midnight. And this leaves Ben furious. As the Fantastic Four shows up, he sees a large figure, and when he goes to punch it, it's a huge gorilla. And out comes an orangutan with magnetic powers and an anthropoid that has the ability to transform to whatever it wants. The Fantastic Four tries to hold their own, but they are nearly defeated until the primates' leader reveals himself to be the Red Ghost. Taking them by weapon, the Fantastic Four go into the Red Ghost's moonship and are transported into the moon and left for dead without much oxygen. Fortunately, the Invisible Girl is able to put them in the bubble, but that only gives them several minutes of oxygen. Reed remembers that there was a mysterious blue area that had an artificial air-filled atmosphere with only minutes of oxygen left. The Thing tries to make an underground tunnel to go under the peaks in hopes to get to the blue area, but instead he punches into a spacecraft, which happens to be the home of the Watcher. The Watcher shows up quickly via holographic form as he is watching another location. He warns Reed that there are instruments and technology that they should not touch ever. Technology that he is even trying to understand. But for Fantastic Four, they need to find a way back home, and the Red Ghost still remains out there looking for them, and the Fantastic Four knows they must confront him and his supernatural primates. For the most part, this was a hilarious and action-packed storyline, one that would involve Yancey Street, which would be a major street reference in the Fantastic Four, but also in the Thing series. Also, Ben and Alicia's relationships, just giving a taste of what's going on between them, and also you get to see a side of the Watcher that you just don't often read anywhere else. The Red Ghost is also interesting. Is an interesting antagonist due to his superpowered primates, which is a bit wild and far-fetched, but that's Stan Lee. He manages to make sense of it all. The artwork is classic Kirby, and wonderful inking by Chic and letters by S. Rosen. So no doubt a fascinating but also humorous issue, but also one of the earlier issues that you get to see the Watcher appear. Okay, everyone, that is it. I will see you later. Wink, wink, and see you later, everyone. Bye-bye.